Good morning, my loves, and welcome. Today, I would like to talk about the Quadratus Lumborum, otherwise known as the QL. So I want to show you a picture of the Quadratus Lumborum, and this right here is the muscle. You'll see it attaches from the 12th rib, so your bottom rib, down the transverse processes of your lumbar spine, and then attaches to that iliac crest here. This is a muscle which can actually hike your hip, laterally flex your spine, but its main job that it does all day long is it lands or holds onto the 12th rib cage.
Hello everyone, I'm popping on here to stop myself. I spent 15 minutes talking about the QL yesterday and have been sitting at my computer. It's trying to edit it. And I started talking about the thoracolumbar fascia and where it is and how to get to it. And it's like, who cares? So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I can send you on a long line of Google searches. But for now, let's just head into the workout, knowing that it's not just the QL that needs to be taken care of when you're trying to release the QL. It's a bunch of different things. Okay, I'm really sorry. I apparently am just talking to myself too much and am really enjoying it. Enjoy the workout.
So we're gonna start with the ball and we're just gonna roll it up and down your foot. And this is to get blood flow going. Release everything through the bottom of that foot vigorously. And then we're going to come to a place where you can actually stand on the ball, kind of put some pressure down through the knuckles of your toes. I like to rock from side to side a little bit. The center of your foot, and put a little bit of pressure. A little bit lower to the heel and release. And then you'll roll vigorously another foot up and down. If you need a wall, something to help you balance, find your way towards one. You don't want to be worrying about your balance more than you're worrying about the amount of pressure that you're able to put down into that ball. Obviously, if it's too sensitive for you, if your fascia is super, super tight or dehydrated, you might want a softer ball to start with, and then you'll start to get used to those harder ones. And then you're going to bring it underneath the pads of your toes, just some side-to-side rocking action, center of your foot, and to your heel. So I recommend doing that each day, so that you don't have to spend too much time doing it. It's just a constant reminder for your foot to loosen up. Now the next thing we're going to do is head down to our mat, and we're going to head into almost a little bit of a yoga flow here to warm up the entire posterior chain of our body, get ourselves stretched. We're going to end up in a wide knees child's pose. So you can reach your arms forward, relax your head down, and take a few deep breaths. Focusing on the weight of your pelvis and the length of your spine, relaxed neck. And then we're going to walk our right hand over to the right side of our mat. And normally I would just have you relax your left hand along with it. But today, as you're reaching with one arm, I actually want you to bend the other one and give yourself a little traction, a little push away, so that you're moving the side of your body. This would be my right arm reaching out. The right side of my body is trying to pull to the other side of my mat. And just like we talked about, big full deep breaths here so that you can really stretch out all the muscles that are working around your vertebrae and through your low back. And then we're going to go to the other side. So you might notice here that your lats are super tight as you're taking these stretches. So as you're reaching the other arm, you're going to press that opposing hand. Try to get as much C curve in that body as you can and relax the forehead down to the mat. Deep, full breath. But because everything's attached, you want to make sure, especially your lats, your glutes, are nice and loose. And then coming through center, we're going to come up into a tabletop position here. Knees underneath the hips, heels underneath the shoulders, and take a few deep breaths and find your cat-cow. Inhaling, you arch, and exhaling, you curl. Inhaling, you arch, and exhaling, you curl. Now we're going to find strength and length through the front and back of our bodies. Reaching the right arm forward with the left leg back, finding the balance, asking all of our abdominal muscles to turn on. And then you're really going to want to curl here. Bypass elbow to knee. Think elbow to forehead, so you're really rounding and curling. And then reach it long again. And then round and curl. Really get that forehead to the knee. Curl, curl, curl. Head in. And lengthen. And we're going to do that one more time. Curl in. And lengthen. And relax that hand down. We'll go into the other side. So you lengthen. And then curl. Biggest curl you can get. And lengthen. And curl. And lengthen. Last one. Curl her in. We'll drop her down. Take the toes down and find your way into your down dog. I'll give you a moment here to really stretch out your down dog however you'd like. If you're a pedaler, you can pedal. I like to sink from hip to hip. But making sure we're focusing on that deep breath, no matter where you're at. Full inhale and complete exhale. Walk our feet forward and find our way into our ragdoll. So our heels are going to be about hip distance apart, and you can cross your arms, allow the torso to hang over the legs, allowing the hamstrings to stretch as you sway from side to side, making sure the head's relaxed, soft neck. Coming through center, bend the knees and roll up slowly, gently roll the shoulders back. We'll come to the top of the mat. Stretching that body out. Inhale, reach yourself up, long, long torso. Really thinking about the sides of the body's lengthening, increasing space between the top of your pelvis and your rib cage. We're not excessively arching to do that. We're creating space both in the front and the back. And then I want you to dive forward over your legs. Taking a half lift, head forward, tailbone back. Planting your hands. And then we're going to step the right leg back. Right leg back here. Now I want you to take a moment, the leg elevated, nice straight leg to get those hip flexors. Talked a little bit about how this can be associated with our psoas. So we're going to head into a psoas stretch here by dropping the knee, bringing your weight up, hands to your knee, and then we're going to go a little bit further today because I want you to make sure that we're staying back and not leaning forward. So I want you to pull in through your pelvic floor, pull in through your core, and keep the pelvis moving forward. Bring your left hand out to the side of your pelvis and reach your right arm up and over. You can really feel the breath opening up the right side of the body. One more breath. Plant those hands down to the ground just so that we can lengthen that front leg. So half splits here. Press the heel down and pull your sits bone in the opposing direction. So we're finding full length through the back of the leg. Reach your sternum forward over the front of your toe. So we're trying not to round through our torso here. I want to see a triangle position of your body. I want to see it. And we're going to play with rotation of our femur. So I want you to rotate your femur out. So you're going to go into external rotation. This is not coming from the knee. This is coming all the way up from our hip socket. And then pull it back to center. And then I want you to try to go internal rotation. I don't get much here. Back through center. Hold here for a moment. Relax the torso down. So I like to walk my hands forward. Relax the head. And then externally rotate once again. So coming from the femur, pinky toe to the ground, breathe here. Back through center, lower yourself into that forward lunge once again. Tuck the back toe and come into your plank. So we're going to find strength here. I want you to pull the belly button into the spine, lower the shoulders down away from your ears, and have your scapula slide to the side of your body, so no collapsing. Once you're in that position, engage your quads so that your kneecaps are lifted. And now I want you to squeeze your glutes. That's a little bit added. I normally don't ask you to squeeze your glutes here. I want you to squeeze your glutes and lower yourself down. If you need to drop your knees, feel free to do that. But let the elbows come by the side of your body. Tuck your toes underneath. Now keep those glutes squeezed as you press yourself up. Nice long legs, kneecaps lifted. Breathe here for a second. Into the belly. Tuck the toes and find your down dog. Take a breath. Long back of the legs, heavy heels. One more breath here. Walk your feet forward. We're going to ragdoll again. Feet hip distance apart. Cross your arms. Let your torso hang. And sway slowly from side to side. Release the arms. Bend the knees, slowly roll up. Step your feet together. Length through side bodies. Inhale, reach up. Dive forward over those legs. Taking a half lift here. Head forward, tailbone back. And release yourself down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Half lift, head forward, tailbone back. And release it down. Head forward, tailbone back. Plant the hands. You're going to step our other leg back. Keeping the leg long here. Left kneecap's lifted. That right knee right over the ankle, right over the heel. Feeling the weight through the pelvis. And then drop the back knee. Untuck that toe. You can bring your hands up onto your knee. Pulling up through the pelvic floor, engaging our core. No excessive arching through the low back. Right hand to our hip. Left arm reaches up and over. Breathe into the side body. Bringing the hands down, straightening the front leg, half splits. Planting that heel down, lifting the toes up, and pulling the sits bone away from that heel. Sternum reaching forward over your toe. And then we're going to start with the rotation of that femur. Into external rotation. Back through parallel. And then trying to get a bit of internal rotation of that femur. And back to parallel. Reach your sternum even further. And relax the torso over your leg. Externally rotate. And rolling your way up, planting your hands, and we're coming back into that plank position. Making sure everything's aligned. And then we're going to bring ourselves forward, elbows glide by the sides of our body. Flip those toes, press yourself up into up dog. Breathe into the belly, 2 breaths. And down dog. Reach the heels long. Long spine. And then walk your feet forward. This time we're bringing them all the way together, so heels and toes touching and taking our forward bend. Externally rotate from the femurs, heels together, toes out. So you're in a baby V position or first position, and then take a forward bend. Making sure we don't collapse the knees inwards. Everything has to be externally rotated. Heels out, bend the knees, and roll on up. So this is where some people like to grab a pillow. I'm just going to, if you have got a bigger ball, I'm using, this is my bigger ball today because it's all I've got in my house. I'm going to be placing this in between my knees and like a little bit above my knees. So it's not on my knee joint, it's like right in between my thighs. So whatever you've got, and then you're gonna make sure that your heels are aligned under that width or area of space. So mine's the space of this ball between my heels as well, so everything's in line. And then from here, we're gonna be sinking our booty back, reaching our arms straight out in front of us. I want you to pull your belly button in. A lot of times when we sit back, first thing we do is jut our rib cage forward, excessively arch our low back, which is only going to tighten that QL area, tighten all of our lower back muscles. So I want you to pull in through the core, drop the weight down through your heels. Now squeeze whatever you've got in between your knees. Squeeze and squeeze. Squeeze and squeeze. Squeeze and squeeze. 4, 3, 2, and 1. You get to relax that down, whatever you have. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Swan dive forward. And then we're just gonna step our feet back into our down dog. Lengthen the right leg up into the sky. Take your knee to your wrist and your foot to your left wrist. And then we're gonna start to walk that leg backwards a little bit, finding length through the torso, heaviness through the hips. A few deep breaths here to make sure we're all in alignment. We wanna make sure we're not just dropping over into that hip. I actually want it to stay lifted. So not sinking over into the side, but actually keeping it up off the ground here. Support your ankle by flexing your foot. Really reach the sternum forward, engage the core. And then we're gonna move straight to the other side. So taking yourself back, lifting up the left leg, bringing her forward, 90 degrees, best you can, and then walking the right leg back. Same thing here. I don't want you to sink over to the side. I want you to stay elevated, lifting the sternum forward, feeling like you're almost tucking your pelvis so that there's no excessive arch in the low back. Deep breath. And we'll be taking it back to the down dog. You can walk her out, drop the knees, and come into your child's pose. 3 deep breaths. this is when the fun starts. Okay, so the first seated position I'm gonna bring you guys into is a square stretch. So you'll bring your left leg up and over the top of your right, feet flexed. You want your ankle on your knee almost aligned over your ankle. So it's creating a square with your hip bones here. Some of us might feel that our knee is too high. That's when I would allow you to bring it forward to try to get some relief through those hips. We're gonna sit up nice and tall in those sits bones here at the beginning. Taking a deep breath. And then you get a short moment to walk your hands forward and try to get a little bit deeper into those hips. Making sure we're not rounding through the back. You really want a flat back. And then we're going to be coming up to the top, and I want you to reach your right arm up and over into a side stretch. Allowing that right knee to be heavy. And then up and over to the other side. Now we're going to take ourselves back over to the left. Slight twist here. And then over to the right. Back through center, reach forward. Now walk your hands to the left. And walk your hands to the right. Back through center. One last moment here. Deep, deep stretch. And release yourself out. We're going to be lengthening our legs out into straddle. Lengthen out through your heels. Big ol' side stretch. Keeping that sits bone nice and heavy down to the ground. Breathing into the side body. And to the other side. And coming on up. We're going to be switching the leg that was on top to be on bottom. Once you're set up, right leg on top, left leg on bottom. Take a moment to allow those sits bones to be heavy, spine long. And then take yourself forward for a moment. Bringing yourself back in. We'll be taking our left arm up and over into our side bend. And then over to the other. Back through center so that we can twist. And twist. And back Taking your arms over to the right. And over to the left. Back to center, deep stretch. And release. Open those legs out to the side. You can take those side bends once again, up and over. And up and over. So the next one that we're gonna head into our 90-90 position here. And so what that means is you wanna have a 90-degree with your knee in the front, and then also a 90-degree position with your knee in the back. You might notice with your hips, sometimes they'll be lifted, lopsided. You just really wanna find more weight in your pelvis. So whatever you need to do to try to feel that your sits bones are making their way down into the ground is gonna be the best thing for you. So once our sits bones are firmly planted, we're gonna be taking a side bend up and over that back leg. So up and over to the right here, and keeping our core pulled in nice and tight, breathe into the left side of your body. Big, full, deep breath. Feeling the expansion of the rib cage. And then I'm going to have you come on up and twist up and over to the left. And then twist to the right. Coming back through center and then leaning forward over that front leg. Walking your way back in, we're just going to switch to the other side. So now you're going to have the right leg 90 degrees in front of you, that left leg in a 90-degree position in the back. You'll instantly notice the difference in your hips and how different muscles are pulling or how you're sitting. Letting the body get acclimated. And then we're going to reach that right arm up and over. Keeping that right sits bone firmly planted. Breathe into the side body. And then lifting up so that you can twist to the right, pulling in through the core. And then twist over to the left. Back through center and then dive forward over that front leg. walking your hands up. We're coming into a sideline stretch. So you can prop yourself up on your elbow. What you want to make sure is that your hips are stacked on top of one another. So we want to make sure that as we press our way up into our stretch, we don't lean forward or roll back. So once you're stacked here, and lift up through those obliques, don't collapse through your lats. So lift up through here, press yourself away from the ground. This might be enough stretch for you as you breathe into your rib cage. If you can do more, you might start to lift yourself up into that side bend. Same thing here, you don't want to lean back or lean forward, keep those hips stacked. And then for me, I can get that hand almost right underneath that shoulder. Really getting into the side portion of that body here. Strong side stretch, strong lateral flexion. You want to gently let your way out. And then hug your knees in. At the beginning, I talked a little bit about the fact that when you try to get into the QL, you get into it from this side of your body, not so much the back. And so this is where I like to use the bigger ball that you have. So whether it's a softball or anything you've got, we're going to be sticking it underneath. Let's see if I can show you a little bit closer here. That space between our rib cage and the top of our pelvis, you want to find it right in here and not on the back, so not close to the spine, but more on the side portion of your body here is where I'm going to be putting that ball. And you're going to lay down on it, on the side that we were just stretching. So now that it's loosened up a little bit, you're going to lay down. And you get to choose how much pressure you put into it. So you can kind of lift yourself up by pressing your elbow down or really let the weight drop. So I'm going to come down, head on hand, completely relaxed onto this. And we're going to start driving this knee in towards our chest and then reaching the knee away. So you're going to drive the knee in and then reach the knee away. Drive it in and reach away. And sometimes it takes a few rounds of maybe like moving the body on top of your ball, your massaging tool to find what you're really looking for. So sometimes, and make it the tiniest little moves. It doesn't have to be huge change here. But it makes such a difference with the pressure that you put on those muscles. And reach it away. Gently pressing your way up, we'll head to the other side. Stacking your hips, lengthening your legs, and choosing. Always treating each side of your body as an individual, so never making your second side do what the first side did. You might be lower, you might be able to come higher on the second side. And then once you find your lateral flexion stretch, you're going to breathe. So what causes a tight QL? A lot of times it might be that if you're a side sleeper, so if you're sleeping down on your side, you hike this one hip up higher than the other one. And when we sleep for hopefully 8 hours a night, that's a long time for your body to have that one hip hiked. And then the other culprit of a tight QL can also be if you are a side sitter. So if you sit on the couch and you kind of sit one side up or you lean towards one armchair more than the other, that constant hip hiking of that one side can also contribute to a tight QL. So really taking notice of your habits. Go ahead and take your ball. You're gonna find that position where it is not on your rib cage, not on your pelvis. It's right in between, and then you can hike the hip and reach the knee away. Tiniest little change in pressure or angle of your body can make a huge difference here. Sometimes it takes a few rounds for me to, find the muscle that's flexing as I pull my knee in, and then stretching as it reaches away. Really loosening up that fascia line that runs through there. And release. This is where I'm gonna bring in the smaller massage ball. So I've got a lacrosse ball today. If you got a tennis ball, anything. Golf ball, woo, golf balls are maddening. Beast mode with a golf ball. But you're gonna go ahead and take it underneath one glute. So we're gonna try to keep it to one side of our sacrum, so not allowing it to touch that bony portion down at the bottom of our spine. We're just gonna roll out that glute. And I showed you at the beginning that picture of the way that the muscles kind of wrap around down at that angle. So kind of follow those lines. Once again, this increases blood flow, loosening up the fascia, and you can feel free, hopefully, especially if you've got QL pain, if you find that this really helps your low back pain after you do this. You might know, oh, my back pain comes from my QL. And so you might do this 2 to 3 times a week, depending on your activity level. And you can always feel free to spend more time rolling out your glutes. But I'm just gonna move right on to the next one. So I'm just worried about blood flow today. I'm kind of teaching you what you can do to help loosen these things up. And you're gonna roll out the other one. We want to keep the body calm as we're rolling. So nice slow deep breaths so that we're not tensing anything. We don't want to cause tension, we want to ease tension. Okay, we've got blood flowing now. Now we're gonna come into some deep, deep fascia work on our back. We don't want the ball to be on our spine ever. So you're gonna come off to one side, and same thing below your 12th rib and above the crest of your pelvis. And this is where you're gonna be placing the ball down on the ground. And you're going to lie on it. Just like we were on the side body stretch, sometimes it takes a few moments to roll that ball around and actually find where it needs to be. Making sure it's not on any bones. And then we're gonna start by lengthening the side of that leg, the same side that the ball's on. And then you're gonna pull the knee in, and then you're gonna lengthen it away again. Making sure that we're not pulling the torso away from the lacrosse ball, from the tennis ball. And you can make little movements of your pelvis or your torso up and down, seeing if there's a better spot for you to get. Same thing here on your own time. You can do this as many times as you'd like, but I'm going to move on. And we're going to come into almost a crunch here. So I like to interlace my fingers and place them behind my head, pull in my core, and just when you engage your abdomen, you'll actually feel that the back is pressing down into the ball, and that might be enough for you. I've been doing fascia release for a while, so my body is always ready for more. And so I'm gonna do a little sit up, like a little crunch, and lower it down. Just a little lift up your head and your shoulders. And on this one, this is one I like to spend a lot of time on. I like to move the ball just a minuscule amount around my back and make sure I get every little portion here. Feeling free to continue doing that, but I'm going to be moving on to the second side. So I'm going to place the ball underneath my back, and then I'm going to start lengthening and pulling the knee in. Focusing on keeping the breath deep and slow, body calm. You find a good juicy spot. I just found one. It's actually, woo, screaming, talking to me. I like to find a moment of rest, no movement, deep breaths. And I imagine I'm just a soft stick of butter that's just melting down over the massage apparatus. Just imagining the muscles just soft and tender and juicy. And then hands interlaced behind the head. And you might just start with your core engagement, and you'll feel that pressure heading down into that ball. Or maybe you start to lift and lower. And we're going to come into the final stretch here on our mat before we stand up. So with this one, I like to use a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use books, a bunch of pillows underneath your pelvis. You can even roll up a towel and stick it underneath your sacrum. So grab whatever you'd like to use and meet me back on the mat. Okay, so I've got my block, and what we're going to do is we're going to head into a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to stick whichever thing you've grabbed underneath your sacrum. So not your low back, underneath the triangular portion of your pelvis. And then we're going to be hugging our knees into our chest. So that's why you want to feel nice and safe. You want to feel like your pelvis can kind of curl and round in a little bit here. We're going to be grabbing onto one knee and extending the other leg long without letting our pelvis move. So a lot of times when we extend that pelvis, we want to arch and let it drop down. Don't let your pelvis rock. And then we're going to allow that leg to reach down and out. So you're reaching out as far as you can and then try to drop the heel down. Reach it out and try to drop it down. Depending on your body, some people like to keep the leg perfectly straight as they reach and lower, and then others like to gently bend the knee. It all depends on what's tight on you. So I would say do what feels best. We're going to take 3 deep breaths here. And then we're going to pull that knee in, hold on to it, and reach the other leg long, and take it down. The long portion is so important. So don't just let it drop down to the ground short. You really want to reach those muscles really long, and then head for the ground. 3 deep breaths. And release. Let those feet firmly plant, lift the pelvis, and slowly lower. You can windshield wiper those legs out, let everything go soft. So yeah, the reason we want to stretch the front of the body as well is not only is the fascia connected to the psoas, but if that QL is tight, and it's hiking the hip and shortening and lifting one side, it's obviously going to affect the length of all the muscles through the front of the body and the protective forces that are happening there. So as long as we can stretch the front, stretch the back, get everything back into that holistic state, you'll feel a lot better. We're gonna head to a wall, any wall, to finish up. Okay guys, so here's the wall I'm using today. We are gonna be heading into our last 2 exercises. One is gonna be myofascial release and the other one is just a pure stretch to finish us out. So go ahead, grab that ball. We're gonna be placing it right where the QL is. So below your 12th rib cage, above that iliac crest, and to the side of your spine. And you're gonna find it against the wall, and you're gonna try to lean your back against the wall, and then also your pelvis. Pull in through the core so that we're not excessively arching. I like to have my knees gently bent. It allows me to feel like my one hip's not rotating away from the wall, nice and square. We're pinning that muscle right now. So my chiropractor taught me this one. You're pinning the muscle against the wall. You're reaching your arms up, which causes length through everything through your spine and your back. And then we're going to be twisting away from where that ball is. Keep it pinned, and then you're going to roll down over that opposing leg, keeping that ball pinned against the wall. Holding here for 3 breaths. I like to roll up and down a little bit. Always rolling through center first, and then rolling back up. This is one that I like to do out in the center, and you'll see me do it a lot in my mobility flexibility group. Well, we'll reach up, we're not against the wall at all. We're rotating over to the side and then curling just up and over one leg. And you can feel that stretch there too. So it's not like we're just dropping down to the knee, but I'll allow you to feel that curl and scoop through your core. So it's kind of mimicking this. The ball's gonna go to the other side. You're gonna pin it, pelvis against the wall, shoulders against the wall. Make sure you're set up. This side gives me way different feedback than the other one. On this side, it's really hard for me to get my pelvis against the wall because my back is like a brick. It's not giving any give to the ball whatsoever. So that's you as well. No, you're not alone. And then reach your arms up to find length. Twist away from the side that the ball is on. And then just gently round over. If you've got a tight QL, this is the side that my tight QL is on, I get feedback in my SI joint, so right where my sacrum meets that iliac crest. If you like to roll a little bit more blood flow. Always come through center, so don't try to roll up from that twisted space. And then roll up. Our last one, the finale. We are going to be going sideways to the wall, taking the leg that's closest to the wall, crossing it over, and then lean your pelvis against the wall. So you're already kind of in that half banana shape, and then you're going to keep your rib cage and your pelvis against the wall and reach your arm up and away, up and over to the other side. So don't let your rib cage come off the wall. Keep your rib cage on it, the bottom portion of your rib cage. We want that 12th rib down there. And then breathe in the side body. Really plant those feet down into the earth. And release. We're going to be switching up and over to the other side. So the leg that's closest to the wall is going to be crossing over the other leg. Lean your pelvis into the wall. Rib cage and pelvis are firmly pressed against the wall, and you're going to lean up and away, breathe into the side body. Making sure we're not arching. This is not a back arching moment. We really want this through the side body. And come on out. Okay, y'all, that's what I've got for you today. I would recommend, you're like, yes, okay, my QL is tight. This is something that I need to work on. Doing these 1 or 2 or 3 exercises several times a week. The tightness is because it's habitual. It's because you're sleeping on your side, constantly leaning over to one side. This is something that's caused by our breathing. So thinking about your breathing constantly. It takes a long time to break these habits and to get that body back into balance. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this helped a little bit. Hope y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.